12 passive tenses. So 12 active tenses done. Today we will start passive voice. What passive voices? Or when should we use passive voice? Why should we use passive voice? Got it? Today I'm gonna answer you all these 3 questions about passive voice. Most of my students asked me to teach passive voice because, as you know, it is a complicated grammar and is somehow difficult. Got it? So today, pay attention the rules, how to change an active voice to passive voice. Got it? So now, let's start for the definition. What are passive voices? What is passive voice, or what passive voice is? Do you know? Passive voice. Active voice and passive voice. Active voice, when the doer of an action is the subject of a sentence, okay? So that is called active voice. But active voice and passive voice, they are opposite each other, okay? They are opposite of each other. Active voice and passive voice in tenses. So when our subject is the doer of an, or the doer of an action is our subject, that is called active voice. But when our object is the subject of a sentence, or when the receiver of an action is the subject of a sentence, what? The receiver of an action. The receiver of an action, the receiver of an action is the subject of a sentence, that is called passive voice. So, like this. For example, Ali breaks the glass, or we can say my glass. Ali breaks my glass. So here, Ali is subject, or it is the doer of an action. This sentence is active voice, okay? Because Ali is the doer of an action, so this is the subject. And bricks, this is verb. And my glass, that is object. So, when your object is the subject of a sentence, or the first of the sentence, that is called passive voice. How? So there are some rules how to change passive voice, active voice into passive voice. Before starting the rules, let me tell you why should we use passive voice? Why shouldn't we use active voice? Guys, sometimes the object is more important than the subject, okay? At that time, we should use passive voice. And as well, number 2, when subject is not known, you don't know about the subject, okay? For example, someone has, you can say my wallet was stolen. My wallet was stolen. My money was stolen. So the doer of an action is not known. It is not clear. You don't know who is the doer of an action. Got it? That is why you have to use passive voice. Got it? And this is the second rule. Sometimes the object is important, or more important than the subject. Okay? And sometimes you love to mention the object. Okay? You want to mention the object, not the subject. Okay? Sometimes you don't want to mention the subject, the doer of an action. So that is why in these 3 cases you have to use passive voices. So now, how to use passive voice, or how to change an active sentence into passive sentence? There are some rules. First, what should you do? You should find 3 things. You should find in your sentence. You should find 3 things. Number 1, you should find your subject. Okay. Then you should find your verb. Okay? Then you should find your object. These three things are important in passive voice. If you want to change an active sentence into passive sentence, these three things are important in a sentence: subject, verb, and object. Got it? Why they're important? So, number one, first, what should you do? So, this is Ali breaks my glass. Which tense is it? Simple present tense. So, how should you change this simple present tense into passive voice? How you should change? What are the rules? قوانینش چیست؟ Number one, you should find the object. If a sentence is out of object, what should you do? If there is no object, what should you do? So we cannot change. So we have two kinds of verbs, guys. Transitive verbs, intransitive verbs. Transitive verbs, those verbs that they need object. For example, I kill. I kill what? So it needs object. I kill the bird. So the bird is object. For example, the bird flies. Where is the object? There is no object. The bird flies. For example, I arrived. The bird flies. There is no object. So the bird is subject and fly is verb. There is no object. So the bird flies. This sentence is not changeable because there is fly is intransitive verb. Okay? So here, first you should find the object. It is the first rule. You should find the object. What is the object of this sentence? My glass. My glass is the object of the sentence. So it is the first rule that you should bring the object at the beginning of the sentence. How? You should write like this. My glass. My glass. So now, according to the tense, step number 2 is to find your to be verb. Okay? Because the general formula for passive voice was be plus pp. Okay, I told you. Be plus pp. Okay? It is the general formula of passive voices. In every sentence, the formula for passive voice is be plus pp. What is be? To be verbs. Is, am, are, was, were, be, been, being. All of them. They are called be. What is pp? Past participle or third form of the verb. Third form of the verb is called past participle. So this is the formula for passive voice. Don't forget it. Be plus pp. In every sentence, if you see that there is be plus pp, or it means to be verb plus third form of verb, that is absolutely passive voice. Got it? So how? Now, for simple present tense, you should identify the tense. Which tense is it? It is simple present tense. The second rule is to identify which tense is it. So according to the tense, you should identify and you should know that which to be verb should I use for simple present tense. For simple present tense, what should you use? As, am, are, according to your object, okay? So now, if your object is singular, you should use as, and if your object is plural, you should use are for simple present tense. Got it? How? Now, for my glass, should I use is or are? Excellent. Now use to be verb is. After is, I told you after be you should use pp, third form of the verb. So now, what is our verb? Break. What is the third form of or past participle of break? Broken. Excellent. After to be verb, you should use third form of the verb or pp. Broken. My glass is broken. Now, what is the subject? The subject will go to at the end of the sentence and with the word by. Okay? By. Okay, this is called by object or by phrase. Okay, you can say by Ali. Got it? Yeah. Guys, my glass is broken by Ali. گلاس من توسط علی شکسته شده. Got it? So, the first rule, once again, let's review. The first rule for changing active voice into passive voice is to identify three things. Number one, you should identify subject. Number two, you should identify the verb. Number three, you should identify your object. So, the second step, you should bring your object at the beginning of the sentence. What is your object? My glass. So this is the second rule. So now my glass, it is your object. You should bring your object at the beginning of the sentence. So after that, what should you do? You should know, you should identify that, you should discover that which tense is it. According to the tense, you should use your conjugate form of to be verbs. Got it? You should use your to be verb according to your tense. Which tense is it? Simple present tense. For simple present tense, what is the to be verb form? SMR. So according to your tense, you should use SMR. SMR. So my glass, it is singular. So what should you use? Is. Excellent. So after your object, you should use is. Got it? Now, what is the time for? Number three, rule number three. You should find your verb and you should use the PP form of your verb. Okay? And as you know, we use third form of the verb in perfect tenses. As well, we can use third form of the verb in passive voices. Got it? So, here, after when you choose your to be verb according to the tense, after that you should use third form of the or PP form of the. What is the third form of, what is our verb in active sentence? Break. So it is our verb. So what is the third form of the break? Broken. Excellent. So after to be verb you should use broken. My glass is broken. So now your subject will be at the end of the sentence. Got it? So Ali is the subject of the sentence, yeah? So it should be at the end of the sentence. And with the word by. By is important, okay? By Ali. Got it? And don't forget, it is not important to you to mention your by phrase or by object. If you say my glass is broken, that is enough. As you wish, okay? As you wish. You can mention by phrase and you cannot mention. If you want to mention, so as you wish. If it is not important, you should not mention it. Okay? You can say my glass is broken. In this sentence, you use passive voice because your glass is important, not the doer of an action. Got it? Or maybe the doer of an action is not clear. You don't know. Got it? Or you don't want to mention the doer of an action. That is why you use passive voice. In these three cases, if the doer of an action is not clear, if you don't know, and number two, if you don't want to mention, and number three, if your object is more important than your subject. In these three cases, you can use passive voices. Got it? Too easy. There were the rules, and these three reasons were for using the passive voice. Got it? Once again, let's review. Passive voice. When the subject, when the object is our subject in a sentence, or when the object is the subject of a sentence, that is called passive voice. Got it? And why we should use passive voice? We use passive voice for three reasons. Number one, if our subject is not clear. Okay? For example, a news headline, in news especially, okay? They use passive voices because most of the time when someone is killed, So the doer of an action is not known. Okay, that is why in news mostly they use passive voice. Got it? Why? Because the doer of an action is not clear. That is why they use passive voice. So number one was, if you don't know the subject, so you should use passive voice. Number two, if you don't want to mention your subject, at that time you can use passive voice. And number three, if your object is more important than your subject, you can use passive voice. So what was the rules? What were the rules? Rule number one, you should find three things: subject, verb, and object. It was rule number one. Rule number two, you should find your object and bring it to at the beginning of the sentence. Got it? You should bring your object at the beginning of the sentence. This is rule number two. And rule number three, according to your tense, you should know which tense is your sentence. Okay? Which tense is it? According to the tense, you should use your to be verb. Got it? So, because it is simple present tense, we should use is or am are. Got it? So, after to be verb, you should use your PP. And what is our verb? You should find your verb. So, that is brick. So, bricks, it is our verb in a sentence. So, in passive voice, after to be verb, we should use third form of the verb. So, third form of the verb, the brick is broken. So, after broken, we should use our subject or by phrase or by object if you want. Okay, if you don't know or if you didn't know the doer of an action, so there is no need of mentioning. Okay, you can say my glass is broken. That is it. Got it? And that is it. When your object is more important than the subject, you can just say my glass is broken by Ali. So Ali is not important. It is a day, okay? So it is broken. Your glass is important because, for example, Sakina gave you, okay? So it is gift. It was gift. That is why you should say my glass was broken, okay? Or maybe Khudadad gave you your gift for you, okay? That is why your glass is important, not the doer of an action. That is why you can use passive voices. Got it? Now, they were the rules. And I told you everything about passive voices. Now it is your homework to change the simple present tense sentences into passive voices. Next day, we will study how to change simple past sentences into passive voice. Got it? So now, here are the tenses. Present simple tense, am, are, is, plus past participle. Got it? In simple present tense, you should use is, am, are, plus PP. In present continuous tense, you should use am, is, are, plus being, plus past participle. Got it? Too easy. Next, present perfect continuous tense, it is not changeable, okay? It is changeable. If you change, so there is no meaning. It is meaningful, okay? It is meaningless, sorry. There is no meaning. It is uncommon passive structure, okay? You should not change it into passive voice. And next, past simple was, were, plus PP. And past continuous was, were, plus being, plus past participle. Got it? These are the formulas. Got it? Next, past perfect, had plus been, plus past participle. Too easy. We will study every day one tense and we'll change it into passive voice. Next, past perfect continuous tense. Actually, the compound tenses are not changeable, okay? And future continuous, they are not changeable. Future continuous is not changeable. Future perfect will have been plus past participle. And as a result, future perfect continuous or uncommon passive voice. It means you should not change it. It is not changeable. 4 tenses are not changeable. Okay? 4 tenses are not changeable into passive voice. Which one? Number 1 was present perfect continuous. It is not changeable. And number 2, past perfect continuous. It is not changeable. Number 3, future continuous. It is not changeable. And the last one, future perfect continuous. That is not changeable. Simply, 4 tenses are not changeable. 3 compound tenses. How many compound tenses do we have? 3 compound tenses, okay? 3 compound tenses are not changeable. Moreover, future continuous is not changeable. Future continuous and 3 compound tenses. They are not changeable. Others are changeable. And we will work on it step by step, and you will enjoy learning passive voice. Wish you all the best. Have a nice time. Don't forget to subscribe our channel. Goodbye.